In week 2, it's about absolute value functions. So this was that second unit that we studied just after we did linear. So it starts off with asking you to evaluate functions. So what we're going to do for evaluating is just like we did with linear. We're just going to plug in the number that we're given for x, or whatever your variable happens to be. So in this case, they want f of x equals negative 4, and this is multiplication, so it's negative 4 times the absolute value of x minus 3. They want you to find f of 1, so you're just going to plug in 1 for x. So this, we're going to rewrite. Anywhere there's an x, we're going to put a 1. So instead of having f of x, we're going to write f of 1 equals. And then we're going to go ahead and just plug it in. Negative 4 times, this is actually operation, multiplication, 1 minus 3. And that's inside the absolute values. Next, we're just going to simplify this a little bit. So negative 4 stays on the outside. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. And the absolute value of negative 2 is positive 2. So the way we're going to show this is we're going to write negative 4. We're going to use parentheses, and we're going to change this negative 2 to positive 2, because the absolute value of negative 2 is positive 2. So you need to use parentheses when you're substituting in after you take the absolute value of the number that's inside there. And then we're just going to multiply. So negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. So what this says is f of 1 is negative 8. And then I just want to make a quick note here. So a quick note. If this had said absolute value of 2, what is the absolute value of 2? Take a minute and think. Remember, absolute value tells you how far a number is from 0. So if this had said absolute value of 2, well, 2 is 2 units from 0. So it would just be positive 2. Notice either way you get a positive answer. I just want to point that out for you. So keep these in mind when you're doing your evaluating. The next part of your homework is going to ask you to solve. And when solving, you have your goal when you're solving is to get what's in the absolute value all by itself. So your goal, let's go ahead and write that. Your goal when you're solving is to get the absolute value by itself. So we basically treat the absolute value as if it's as if it's a variable. We want to get it all by itself because our variable is inside. Our x is inside the absolute value. So for example 2 got absolute value of x divided by 5 plus 2 equals 9. So how do we get the absolute value by itself? What is with it? So what's on the outside of the absolute value? If you said positive 2, you're right. It's positive 2. It's right here. So we need to move positive 2. How do you do that? So what's the inverse operation of addition? Good. Subtraction. So we're going to subtract 2 from both sides. These 2's go away. Next. Now our absolute value is by itself. We have absolute value of x divided by 5 equals 9 minus 2 is 7. And then from there, to solve it, you're going to set up two different equations. The first equation is going to say x divided by 5 equals 7. And then the second one, or you have x divided by 5 equals -7. Notice the only thing that changed was the number that was on the right. We changed it from positive to negative. Now, how do we solve these? So to solve this, x divided by 5 equals 7. We want to get rid of the division by 5, so we want to get x by itself. So what's the inverse operation of dividing by 5? Multiplying by 5. So we'll multiply both sides by 5. So these 5s cancel. Remember, what you do to one, you got to do to the other. So these 5s cancel, so you get x. 7 times 5 is 35. This is one solution. Or, on the other side, x divided by 5 equals -7. How do you undo division by 5? Same as before, you got to multiply by 5 so that these 5s cancel. And on the other side, you get that. So you get x. -7 times 5 is -35. So those are your two solutions. All right, the next problem. Solving absolute value functions. So our goal, remember, is to get, ooh, that's a funky color. Our goal is to get the absolute value by itself. So in this example, we have absolute value of x plus 3 divided by 4 equals 6. Oops. So what is on the outside of the absolute value? Hopefully you see that on the outside I have this division by 4. I want to undo division by 4. What do I got to do? Good. I got to multiply by 4. I got to do it to both sides to keep the equation balanced. So what that does is it allows these 4's to go away. And now I have absolute value of x plus 3 equals 6 times 4 is 24. So next, you're going to set up two equations. One is going to be x plus 3 is positive 4, or the second one is x plus 3 is negative 4. Notice I didn't change this sign on the x plus 3. What was inside the absolute value is x plus 3. That cannot change. So the x plus 3 has to stay the same because that's what's inside the absolute value. The only thing that can change is the number that's on the outside, which is, in this case, 24. Sorry, I just realized I wrote 4 there. It should be 24. So that's the only thing that can change. Sorry about that. And then you're going to solve each of these for x. So to solve x plus 3 equals 24 for x, we're going to subtract 3. So just subtracting 3, these 3 cancel, so you get 24 minus 3 is 21. Next, on the other side, x plus 3 is negative 24. Same idea, draw your line, subtract both sides of 3. So you get x is negative 27. Okay. So if you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email, send me a message through Google Classroom, or send me a message through Remind.